about Project Crystal Night. Do you know anything about it, Rick? And I said, you know what, Victor, I do know something about it. But, I don't know if it's real or if it's some kind of military project that had happened, an exercise, or I could think of a lot of different things.
Right.
And he said, no, I know it's real because I've seen some evidence of it. I said, what kind of evidence did you see? He said, I saw pictures of the planet. I said, you saw pictures of what? He said, circle. He said, who showed them to you? He said, this person I want to introduce you to. So I flew out to, I was still working for Austin, Texas. I flew out to California, Oceanside, met with Victor, and then I met with this former DI official named Joseph Yeager. Joseph knew me, I didn't know him. He knew of me. It was my time in OSI and US intelligence. He had worked for the DIA. He was out of the we call it the no hat office, the UFO desk, DIA. And we call it no hat because their heads are so big, that's what
Right.
But anyways, he said, are you ready for this project? You need to hear about this project. I said, well, is it for real? He said, yeah, it's for real. He said, well, you got any documents to prove it? He says, come to my house. And we were at a hotel meeting in Oceanside, California.
Right.
So we went to his house. He lived in a really nice house. He had a cellar, and there's not too many places that have cellars anymore, but he had a cellar in his house in California, and we went in there, and he had these safes along the wall, like probably a dozen safes. And they were all GSA approved safes, they were GSA. And having worked in the government, you know how secure they are.
Yeah.
He opened one up, brought a document over to me, laid it down. It was the Air Force OSI document. I looked at that document. Of course, I recognized it, meaning I'd been in the OSI. He said, read that. It was a real thick document. So I spent the next probably 30, 35 minutes going through this document. I said, oh, I spent all those years in OSI and I never heard about this. So I said, so it's for real? He said, it's absolutely real. Then he started pulling out other things and showing me and Victor. And I said, well, why do you have it here? I mean, this should be in a file of a DIA headquarters. How did you get it? He said, I can't answer that question. He said, and if you turn me over to the feds, there's documents. I said, is this stuff classified? He said, I don't know. I don't really care. I want it out.
What was the most powerful thing you read in that document over that 35 minutes? What really shocked you the most, besides you not knowing about it?
Well, what shocked me was how they selected the astronauts.
How did they?
Well, they selected. It took them months and months and months. But they got people that they had to get specialists, the doctors and other specialists. But they went out and found people within the military that were orphans and didn't have any family members and weren't married. That was a difficult task, even in 1960. But they found it. They found, I think, 100 or so, and they narrowed it down. They put these astronauts through an enormous amount of training. In reading and then listening to a tape recording later of all the training they went through, Special Forces SEALs wouldn't have gone through this kind of stuff. But they had to prepare them for a journey from Earth, 39 light years away, to a foreign planet. How do you prepare somebody for that?
Right.
Well, they tried it, and they did it. According to them, they did it. And that was the most fascinating. How they chose the 12. Now, the controversy is, according to him, there were 12 men. According to this other person that became involved later, said no, there were 10 men and 2 women. There were 2 women of them. One was a linguist. She learned even language. So there was some controversy there whether there were 2 women or not. But anyways, they were trained. They were set up to go on a mission, and the craft, the Evens were supposed to come in 1964 to White Sands at Holloman Air Force Base, but that kind of blew up because one Even craft didn't land at Holloman, it landed near Socorro, And that was the Lonnie Zamora incident in 1964. When they eventually found the right landing space in White Sand, it was decided that the Evens weren't ready for it. So then they scheduled it for 1965, and they were going to leave out of Groom Lake, Area 51. And the craft, huge craft, landed. About 40 tons of material that we brought on with us, the Evens took, and they went on their voyage, the 12 to Circle.
Did we have any of their races stay back?
We had an exchange program. One ET stay, or even two they called it. Even two stayed, and our 12 went. And we had the communications device that we could still communicate with our people on Circle. We were communicating with them, I think, once every 7 months or something like that. It took like 40 hours for the signal to get back, something like that. But we still communicated with them. And they eventually adjusted to the life on Circle. And one of the problems they had up there was there was two suns. It was a binary planet. So there was never any darkness. Always daylight. They took sunglasses with them. But the radiation exposure was higher there. Evens were accustomed to it. They weren't. So every one of them had a radiation problem, radiation sickness when they got back.